Gotta get back. Oh. On a Thursday night for WordHack. Make some noise with your hands and faces. Oh, yeah. Wow. Look at this great room full of people. It is so nice to be back. Last month was my first time ever missing a WordHack. I had COVID last month, but it was ably hosted by one Jamie Brew in the audience tonight. Give it up for Jamie for keeping WordHack down, keeping it going while I was out. It was a very surreal, fun experience to watch it from home, as I hope some of you in our online audience are watching at home and having a good time. I got to really play test the. I'm getting a little feedback up here, Rody. Should I use the other mic, or is it? No, cool. Yeah, I got to play test the home experience. Pretty fun. So WordHack, what is it? WordHack is a monthly show we have here at Wonderville, third Thursday of every month. And it's a show where we kind of hang out and pitch a great big tent at ye olde intersection of language and technology, the famous one you have heard so much about. WordHack is a place where all sorts of people who think about words and computers and procedural processes and people come at that from all different directions. We have fiction writers and poets and programmers designing different ways of generating language. We have game makers working on different types of storytelling and ways of procedurally generating dialogue. We have people doing, like academics doing linguistic research, all kinds of people who are approaching word plus computer equals question mark idea, and from all sorts of different ways. And a lot of times, usually the way it works is like some of those people go to academic conferences, and some of those people just like hang out with their friends in a basement, and some of those people like are at GDC right now. Sorry, we're missing some of the game developers this week. But often there's not a lot of venues where someone who's just like making an experimental poem for a journal can meet someone who's making a dialogue engine for a video game. And this is that kind of place where those people can come share some of what they're working on, thinking about, and they can meet some of you and meet each other and get some feedback, share some things. We've got a really great lineup of presenters for this show. Really excited about this lineup. We have Maya Mann, Herdimas Anggara, Reuben Son, Blair Johnson, and Luke Williams. Give it up for that all-star lineup. I'm also excited to announce the launch of the issue 4 of the HTML review. I mean, I'm not announcing it, but I'm telling you it exists. Give it up for the HTML review. And some of our presenters have pieces in that, and it's launching. It's up today, so you'll be hearing some things from that. But we always start the show. Hello. I'm Todd Anderson. I don't know if I told you my name yet. I was really thinking hard about if I had, and I needed to invite you in to that internal moment of like, what if this whole show goes on and everyone's like, who was that charlatan that stood up on stage and took over the crowd, and where did he go to? Why did he have so many socks? I'm Todd. It's great to be here, and a big part of every WordHack that I'm really proud to have made part of the identity is our open projector. It's how we start off every show. It's a place where we have a sign-up sheet at the front of the room where someone can put their name down and share something with our audience for 5 minutes. This can be something you're currently working on and actively seeking feedback on. There's really no better way to like get to know people in a room than sharing like something you're actively thinking about and hoping to talk to people about. And a lot of people come up and do that here. You can share a project you finished, and that like might be of interest to to people in this room, can even just give a little talk on a tiny little topic for 5 minutes. Really love to have all sorts of things here at WordHack. My background is in poetry, and when I was coming up in slam poetry in the early 20-teens, it was really beneficial to me to be able to go to a poetry reading and not know anyone, but still be able to put my name on a sheet of paper and share a poem that I had written, and like kind of be able to gauge how the audience is reacting to that poem in real time. And you can kind of like see, like, you get a little ha-ha at a funny line, or you can kind of see someone like eyes glazing over and turning to the bar at another part, and that's really important feedback engine. And we like to share that opportunity here with you at WordHack. Without further ado, I'm going to get started with our open projector. And I know we had some folks who, oh yeah, I announced this before the show, had some folks who wanted to get on this open projector, and it's a little shorter tonight because we have more presenters than we usually do. So sign up goes out at 6:45, but you can also, like, if you can't be here like right at the start, you can email me ahead, and I can try and reserve a spot for you. So let's get things started with a returning open projector fave. Give it up for Reuben.
This is the projector?
That is the projector.
All right.
Many potential tools with which to connect.
I brought my own. We'll see how that works.
All right, yeah. Bringing one's own is...
Hello. How's it going? Good, good. Cool. English spelling. Everybody hates it. They say, it's so confusing. Sometimes you read a word and you don't know how to say it. And there's one sound, but it might be written in a bunch of different ways. There's got to be some better way. And people have come up with a lot of proposals for how to fix it. They came up with new spelling systems for English or even new alphabets, but none of them have taken off. But maybe we just haven't come up with one that's good enough yet. So I've created a tool to empower all of you to fix English once and for all. This is what it looks like. It's got all the sounds in English with these example words. And so for here we have the A in the word trap. I'll zoom in a little bit. Here's the A in palm. Here's the A in face. All the other different sounds. And here, next to it, you just put the way that you think it should be spelled. And at the bottom, there's a little converter. So I've come up with a few attempts. You can tell me what you think. I started off thinking, this doesn't have to be complicated. We've already got a way to write all these sounds, just need to clean it up a little bit. So you can see, I'm using all the normal letters here. We've got an A, and if you need it to clarify that it's ah, not ah, you can add an H. We can still use our double O for goose, our double E for fleece. Consonants are all pretty much the same. We're keeping the SH, we're keeping the TH. I've added a DH so you can tell the sound from thin and the sound from then. And here's what that looks like in use. I used the WordHack event description from Wonderville. So, WordHack is a monthly evening of performances and talks exploring the intersection of language and technology. Code, poetry, digital literature, e-lit, language games, coders interested in the creative side, writers interested in new forms writing can take, all are welcome here. So I saw that and I thought, well, that's pretty good, but it's a little cluttered, right? We've got all these long vowel sequences. We've got all these H's flying around. Can we streamline this a little? Attempt number 2. We're using diacritics. We put a little line over the A to tell you that it's ah, not ah. And we can put a little swoosh over the C to tell you that it's ch, not k. So here's how this looks. It's a little more elegant, I think. WordHack is a monthly evening of performances and talks exploring the intersection of language and technology. So I saw that and I thought, well, that's pretty good, but maybe I'm reinventing the wheel here, because there are other people, they've already come up with perfectly functional ways to write a Germanic language like English in the Latin alphabet. Why don't we just steal what they're doing? So I looked to German. And sure, we could put an umlaut on some of those vowels to tell them apart. And we've got these very handsome consonant clusters like TSCH for the ch sound. So here's how this would look. So, WordHack is a monthly evening of performances and talks exploring the intersection of language and technology. So I saw that and I thought, well, that's pretty good, but you know, the German spelling, it's been around for a long time too. Maybe it's also a little outdated. This is the 21st century. Maybe we need something a little bit more modern, a little fresher for the new challenges of this century. But then it hit me that some people have already been innovating in all kinds of ways with how we can represent English textually in a digital environment. And I'm thinking, of course, about LeetSpeak. So I turned to this to solve our problems. For the ah sound, we can use a for, and for the ah sound, we can use an @ sign. Instead of an sh, we've got a $sign. It's already there on your keyboard. So this is how this would look. WordHack is a monthly evening of performances and talks see, I can't read it. Exploring the intersection of language and technology. So that's what I came up with, but if you want to try your hand at it, it's online. This is the URL here. If that's hard to remember, my homepage is inthescales.com, and it's there under English Spelling System Designer. And I'm on social media if you want to show me anything you come up with. I'd love to see it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Robin. All right. Coming up next on the Open Projector, it's Morry. Give it up for Morry.
Hello. How are we all doing? That bad, huh? Well, it's okay. So I'm here to talk, as soon as my computer decides it's okay, about iPods. Cool. All right. Hello. Slowly but surely. While I'm up here, I can tell you about this while this thing is loading. People sometimes come up to me and they're like, "Can I buy that iPod earring that you make?" And I say no. And the reason is, well, A, because I want to be the only one that has them, and B, because they are held on with double-sided tape. I don't have a piercing on this ear. And also it's heavy. This thing is like 1.5 ounces. And I cannot, in good faith, sell you something and also hand you a Scotch 3M double-sided tape roll alongside of it. We can also do this without there's one presentation that talks about the archive of iPods. Okay, I guess we will talk about the archive of iPods that I have. Okay, so iPods. If you've been to WordHack before, you might have seen me wearing these. I love a brand, and I think this is a nice thing to have as one of like the main icons of it. I started buying these iPods back in. I got rid of the thing that showed when I bought them, but in 2023, I've been buying them in bulk for so long. Each one of those is shopgoodwill.com telling me that I've bought more iPods. That's one of my cats named P2 with a precarious bag hanging over her of many, many iPods that I bought. And the things I love about them are a couple things. First of all, they're cheap. Look at that. I paid $177 for like 40 of them. Did they work? Maybe 30%, but that's still a great deal. 2, they're memorable. I think everybody has like these really like intense memories of being a teenager or a child or like, however old you are, and being like, wow, I love my iPod, and you can probably remember what songs you had on it. And that's because of three, they're one of the last good personal computing devices, right? And an iPhone is not an upgrade to an iPod. It is a completely different type of device. An iPod does one thing, it plays your music, it does it extremely well, it doesn't require any kind of login, there's no Wi-Fi connection, it's just, here's what you want to listen to. And I think that's important. So what do I use these iPods for? I use them for a couple things. First of all, I use them as earrings. Second of all, they're a complete cheat code of a birthday gift. Again, these things cost like maybe $20. The charging cable and the headphones also cost another $5. And so for $30, you give somebody, like you get to go up to somebody and be like, I am going to induce in you a feeling of nostalgia so intense that you don't know what to do about it, and you have no control over whether or not that's about to happen because you are about to have an iPod Nano in your hand, whether you like it or not. And it's the closest thing that there is to a superpower. And lastly, I think they're amazing archives. So I started archiving iPod Nanos once I realized that when I was trying to give them away as gifts, I had to wipe, in order to give people music that they would have listened to, because I would always ask them, like, what did you listen to in middle school or 2009 or whatever, in order to give them, the music that they wanted, I had to wipe the previous owner's library. And that felt really wrong. And so I started archiving the libraries of iPods that I got in this huge, I have over 200 gigs of other people's music at this point. And I've been trying to figure out what to do with them. And so I started in the holiday season. I sold them both at the Super Ultimate Internet Day at Heart, as well as at the Dataset Farmers Market at LARPA, and they were pretty fun. You bought a USB that was preloaded with a bunch of different people, with one specific person's music library, and you got to be part of their world, right? It's a very intimate experience because it's one person's music library, and you're literally in their head. At the same time, it's very abstract and separated from them because you don't know anything about them except their name, which sometimes is stuff like Runner Boy or Moonwalker or my favorite one, Grandma. And so, lastly, the thing I'm working on now, which is not in a good enough position to present deeply on, but I was thinking about how do I make these things available online for everybody to use and for people to actually see them, without, importantly, having a DMCA copyright infringement notice being leveled at me. So what I've done is I've written a script to take every single one of the songs on those iPods and basically send them through Shazam. The reason I send them through Shazam is that they don't have any metadata on them. They're pure MP3 files. They often don't, they're just named 4 letters with some kind of hash.mp3. And that gives me, Shazam will give me an Apple Music link. I can take that Apple Music link and use it to turn into a Spotify link or a YouTube link, etc. And then this is Willie's iPod. I can then make this is all pure CSS, by the way, no JavaScript here. And I click on any one of them, and I click on this, and then it opens up a Spotify track. Importantly, also, I am working on making these into playlists as well, so you can kind of see them there. But yeah, that's my presentation. Those are iPods and archives, etc. This is where you can follow me. I'm WTTDOTM pretty much everywhere. If you want to talk about iPods and the other great personal computing devices before smartphones, I'm around. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Morry. I got an iPod library as a gift for someone for Christmas. It was a lot of fun. Up next on the Open Projector, give it up for Irena. Give it up for Irena.
Work with the mic, right? thanks. Yeah. Sure. What do I? Okay, this is kind of gauche, but I don't want to show like the thing right away. So I don't want to show the New York Times. So this is my webpage, I guess. Okay. Is that working? All right. Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm presenting something tonight for my husband Damien, who will have died 3 years ago tomorrow. Yeah, I apologize for the very tentative connection of this piece to language. It's really more about silence, absence, occlusion, but most of my other work is very much about language, and I published an essay about all this last year that you can find on my socials and stuff. I realize it might feel strange to receive this in the middle of a lot of levity, but that's how death is. It arrives in the middle of life, and that's how grief is. It lives alongside joy and boredom and hope. I hope you can receive this in the same spirit as, someone showing you pictures of their kid, which I'm also not unfamiliar with. Look at it. Pay him mind. He was here. Does it sound? No sound?
Make sure sound is going through the aux rather than the HDMI.
This should be it, right?
Headphone port, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's change it.
Hi, we're making this video because you didn't pick up on FaceTime. Big mistake. Lucas says hi. Lucas says hi to Grandma, Grandpa, and Coley, and Cotton. Go meet very soon. He just woke up from a big nap. He gave us time to have dinner and clean up the house a little bit, move out some furniture. Okay. Hope you guys have a good night. Bye. Bye. Where's my iPad?
Happy birthday to the best dad out there for now. Strongest and kindest person I know.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to be here, like, at all. So. This reminds me of a place. Okay, so what can we not show your mom?
Yeah.
What can we not show her?
Watch.
Watching what?
On your phone.
Watching Netflix on the phone?
Yeah.
Your mom can't know about that?
Bye.
Is that why you close the door?
Yeah.
What if I open the door?
Who texts you?
Irena. What if I open the door? Here, I'm gonna open the door.
No.
Why
you
not?
cannot.
Why not?
Because you cannot show my mom.
Okay. I just want to clarify that for Irena. All right.
This event. We should get a picture of this moment, this event. We should get a picture of this moment, this event. We should get a picture of this moment.
Pretty gross.
Let's give it up one more time for Irena. Yeah, thanks for sharing that extremely sincere and heartfelt piece with us. Yeah, and I know that I like to book. I'm a sort of silly person. I like to book a lot of levity and fun and silly stuff and have a good time and laugh. But a big part of kind of why I do that and why that's important to me is that I feel like laughter and joking around and whatever gives you the capacity to also hold space for grief and hold space for sadness. And I come from a background in poetry where it's often kind of the flip. You'd usually have one funny thing stitched in between a lot of grief, and I often find that can work really well too. And so I don't know if you're ever kind of wondering if it's okay to share a a heartfelt or really sincere, not funny thing on Open Projector. I want to be very clear that it is, and I hope this can be a space for that. And that's like, I feel like my ideal version of WordHack is kind of going to all of those ends of like laughter and the like life affirming qualities, and also reckoning with tragedy and sadness and grief, and having that full emotional picture. So thank you for sharing that with us tonight, Irena. Up next on our Open Projector, give it up for Henry.
If this projector works with my cursed laptop, it's going to be a miracle, I think. Just be directly to my...
And good sound?
Yes.
Just make sure it goes to the headphone jack.
Okay. Who here likes books? Yeah, give it up for books. All right, this is a project involving entirely too many books. Call it Total Library. So this is a project I've been working on and off for a couple of years, and it's essentially a replica of the Library of Babel, if you've heard of that. I can't see anything that's happening. It's all mine. All right, so actually, can I just switch them? How do I do that? Just if I can see what the heck I'm doing. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So basically, what we've got here is a whole lot of books. Sorry. So each of these, we've got every single possible book of about 100 pages, a couple different characters. Every single one appears exactly once somewhere in here, and you can kind of tab through them, drop them on the ground, kick them around, chuck them over the balcony here into the void if you like. And it just kind of goes on forever, and you can walk around in it. I got these cool spiral staircases. Never do spiral staircases in a game, by the way. It's the worst. Just the worst collision. Yeah, so there's just a whole lot of freaking books. Recently added this little search screen thing here. So, you may give me like a 5 or 6 letter word, or it'll be here all day. What? Haunt? I got haunt and carrot. We'll try haunt. And T. Search. So it'll just kind of search through each book one by one and look for it. And you can click on it, and it'll give you directions, tell you where to find it. So it's somewhere in here. This bottom shelf, 50 books from the right. BTT. Oh my gosh. What is it? Near wall, bottom shelf, 50 bucks on the right. So it's over here somewhere.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, was it? I don't see it.
Little to the left.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
There it is.
Hey, all right. So somewhere, page 68. If we simply flip all the way over to 68. Somewhere on there. Fifth line. Yeah, too many books. I don't know, should we do another one? What? All right. Let's try carrot because it was longer. C A R R O T.
Space.
What? space. I guess we can put a space. So, yeah, the way this works now is it's literally just kind of linearly scanning through every book until it finds it somewhere in there. I am like 60% sure you can do better, but I've not figured that out yet. So let's. Oh, that's also in this room. Look at that. It's probably like that one. There you go. 9 rooms away. All right, whatever. Anyway, so this is that. That's the gist of it. You can kind of do that forever. Someone left a comment on the itch page saying they emptied out an entire shelf onto the floor, and then they were saying the physics got weird, which I expected. Anyway, so cool. That's total library. I've got some contact stuff. If you want to check it out, it is on itch.io. If you search total library, you should be able to find it. I am mathematastic in several places, and you can email me at this web zone. It is up to you whether you believe that or not. Anyway, yeah, thank you. My name is Henry.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Henry. Really cool project. All right, and then to close out our open projector, please give it up for the host of last month's WordHack. It's Jamie Brew.
Hello. Okay, we'll let that get started. I'm going to show an update on something I often show at Open Projector at WordHack, which is a system I'm working on for making karaoke harder by switching the words and replacing each line with a line from a specific text data set. And the update that I want to show is, it only matters for some text data sets. Let me show you the catalog. I think I just typed the wrong password. Okay, but I made it in. Okay, so this is the weird algorithm. It is a karaoke lyrics changing program. And on the left side, let's see, can you see that? Yeah, okay. So on the left side, you've got this catalog of songs. And on the right side, you've got a catalog of texts. And these include Craigslist ads for vehicles and questions asked on Quora and all kinds of stuff. It struggles sometimes, though, when it has text data sets that have words that it's never seen before, because we're using the pronouncing dictionary from CMU to pronounce these. It's kind of doing the opposite of what Robin was showing us. We're taking like things we know what they look like and trying to find the pronunciation, whereas Robin, you were looking at like, let's enforce pronunciations on words that we already know. So one of the ones that it struggles the most with is Magic the Gathering cards, which we've done before at WordHack. And we used effectively a subset of that Magic the Gathering card data set, the ones that had all normal looking English words or names. And so it just threw out anything where there was any word that we couldn't pronounce. But I've recently come across this library called G2P, which stands for Grapheme to Phoneme. It's a Python library that uses what's called a transducer, something I don't really understand, to take words that it might not have seen before, or that might be formatted in unusual ways, like $250 or Baba Lisaga Night Witch, which is a Magic the Gathering card example. And then it outputs this list of phonemes, which are what we need to make the program work. And so I've done that for Magic the Gathering. It's now in the catalog as Magic the Gathering Cards Advanced. And I'd like to sing a song with each line replaced by a line and an image from Magic the Gathering Advanced. And I'm going to choose I Dreamed a Dream from Les Mis the musical. So if you know the tune and you would like to sing along, please join me. Aremexi's slumbering isle, temple of the false god, apocalypse hydra, Ulamog the infinite gyre, the elder dragon war, elemental uprising, acidic slime, death lord of the vault. I should also note that I don't play magic, so if I get the pronunciations wrong, please forgive me. Takenuma, abandoned mire, comes a guardian of a ration. Takenuma, abandoned mire, alabaster host intercessor, Tamio collector of tales, Iron Ica's vile duplication, Celestine the living saint, Kadim console of innovation, circle of protection wide, introductions are in order, I bask in your silent awe, Valduk, keeper of the Sakenuma, abandoned mire, cemetery illuminator, Cigada champion of light, Yavi Maya icon of breaker, the invasion tree, Viximic visionary, Elishon, mother of machine, the pieces are coming together. Breaker, the invasion tree, Azorius signet, Semite healer, elixir of immortality, Kokoro, center of the sea. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Jamie runs an event here and other places called Robot Karaoke. So if you would like to get up here and sing to some Magic the Gathering cards advanced yourself, that is a thing you can do. Jamie, when is the next one that is here?
The next one here is May 10th. Or
Next
May 12th, perhaps.
May 12th, coming back in May. Let's give it up for everyone on our open projector. And we are going to get started with our first set of featured presenters. Excited to welcome to the stage Blair Johnson and Luke Williams. Blair is a really outstanding poet who has a lot of experience writing for the page, but then also experimenting in digital platforms. And Luke is a musician and game developer, and they have collaborated together to make a really exciting digital piece that is part of the HTML review, which just came out today. So please give it up for Blair and Luke.
All right, we're allowing the accessory to connect, so things are looking good. I don't have any banter, so I'm just going to do live updates from the interface. Okay, that is the sound. All right. We are about to full screen our presentation. All right, and now the customary wait for the projector to turn on. Okay, we can also say who we are before we do that. I'm Blair. As Todd mentioned, I am mostly a poet, though I have done other things.
And I'm Luke. Yeah, and thank you all so much for being here, and thanks to everybody on the Open Projector too. A bunch of wonderful stuff. Thanks to Todd for doing this. We've been watching and coming for a long time. It's a real honor to be here. There's always like a, do you keep waiting? Do you unplug it and plug it back in? Who knows? Thanks to Maxwell and Shelby as well, editors of the HTML review. Another like institution that has really inspired a lot of the work that we've done. So we're feeling very honored tonight to be part of both WordHack and the HTML review. We could keep rambling. Is
that your dongle or ours?
Yours.
Try this one.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced the smaller dongles work better on Macs and the bigger ones work better on PCs.
That's fascinating. Do you feel like, what does it mean?
I think it's like about the kinds of drivers and transformations that are happening inside.
Yay!
We're here.
The dongle whisperer. Okay.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay.
We've already done this. We can get started. We're going to tell you about a piece that we made called Spoilia, and this presentation has 3 parts. I'm going to talk a little bit about just who we are and some of the work that we've made. Blair's going to tell you about the background and creation of this poem, and then we're going to play with it and read a little bit of it for you. So who are we? We already told you. This is Blair. I'm Luke. We're multidisciplinary artists, and we met in 2011. Both studying English in college, and we've been making a bunch of stuff ever since. We make a lot of stuff on our own, but we're going to talk mostly about the things that we make together. And we make a lot of stuff together. We make really bad furniture. Our house is full of it. It's like all dubiously structural, but we like it a lot, and we can't stop. We used to make Twitter bots when that was like fun and uncomplicated and still worked. Shout out to everybody who got to be part of that when that was fun. We make like can-made websites and play around a lot in the browser. We had this mail order thing where we like made and wrote and printed and bound books and mailed them to people. Really proud of that project. It went on for a while. We're thinking about bringing it back. And so all of this stuff, though, kind of floats around like an interest in language and materials, and especially like play and language.
I would just very quickly like to defend our furniture and say it's not that bad.
Sure. But so most relevant, I guess, we make a lot of like digital poems playing with words on the screen. And I wanted to share a couple of those before we get to Spoilia, which is the piece that is in the HTML review. So this first one is called Tense. And it's a poem written originally about like whether syntax and logic are dependent on being in straight lines. So this is how it works. Immediately, once we made this, it had some like very fun and strange emergent properties. One being that like the longer you try to do this, the more constrained you are in space, and it sort of becomes a game of like Snake, where it's not like you lose if you hit yourself, but it does get very hard to read, and it also almost becomes like a weird. You're like skateboarding in a very crowded skate park where you're like trying to find lines between the things that you've made. And then I guess the other thing to say, since I'm the one doing this and you're not, is that it's actually quite hard to both read and like have to be constantly moving the mouse. If you try to take a break and read it, the words sort of pile up. So anyway, I think this like speaks to some of what we're interested in, which is these kinds of like, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this, but you have an idea for some way that it might be fun to interact with language. And then particularly once you start bringing in this kind of interactivity or like play, things just get weird and things happen that you don't expect, and all these other kind of weird reading experiences start to happen. I think that's like particularly what we tend to find really fun and interesting. And then this next one is called Tongue Prattle. It's a poem where Blair translated a paragraph from The Grain of the Voice by Bart into its phonemes, and then used some sort of tables to translate those phonemes into instructions for your tongue. I believe you wrote these instructions for what your tongue should do to produce the phonemes, and then we asked the browser to read this poem to you.
Rests while air is forced between lower lip touching upper teeth. Tongue shifts forward. Tongue tip blocks air, then releases a noise burst. Tongue lifts in, back, up. Mouth while vocal cords vibrate through narrow airway. Tongue rests. Tongue is elevated and bunched while vocal cords vibrate. Tongue rests while lips block air, then release a noise.
This goes on for a long time.
Tongue shifts forward. Tongue.
But
I think that might have been half a sentence of the original paragraph.
Yes.
Just to give you a sense of scale.
But if you ever wanted to know how to read Grain of the Voice, you're welcome. So then Spoilia is an interesting project because I think the idea for Spoilia came before actually any of this other stuff a long time ago, and Blair's going to take us back. But it was sort of a project that we had the idea for long before we had the like technical skill to actually make it, and so we've been working on it for a long time. We're really excited that it's sort of finished, I guess, or published at least. Take it away, Blair.
Okay, so our story begins in 2015 when I really fell in love with a particular wall. And this wall happened to be in Italy, where I think there are more lovable walls than we might encounter in New York. But I actually really have a fondness for all walls because I actually don't have to have a reason. I just really like walls. So this is the wall in question, and you can kind of see it. It was also taken on an iPhone in 2015, so I made it black and white so that the quality was less offensive. But what I loved about it was that it had all of these fragments of stone that had chiseled writing on them, and they had been built into this new facade and just kind of out of frame. Here-ish is the doorway to a church. But as you can see, there's also other kinds of fragments like these archways. But the ones that I was really obsessed with that caused me to have such a huge crush on this wall was the ones that had language, because I've just always kind of been a like weird little language animal that's drawn to ways that words could live in the world. So after this trip, I started to look into what this was, and I learned that it's this architectural practice called spolia, which was very common at one time, and it's a way that they would reuse pieces of old buildings in new ones. And I read a lot of archaeological essays on JSTOR, and archaeologists are very intense about what this means, and it's hotly debated, and I don't really have an opinion except that I love it, and I kept wanting to borrow it and wanting to think about like how I could also produce a kind of reading experience that was similar to this wall experience. And part of where that comes from for me is that for me, a lot of poets, or maybe just me, have this longing for another medium in their work, and the way that you kind of think about putting together a poem, like maybe you have, as Frank O'Hara did, this fascination for painting or visual media, and your writing is kind of a way of like reaching toward that, even though your medium really is language, your language kind of gravitates toward something else. And for me, that's always been architecture. Space and the organization of space is a huge way that I think about putting together a poem. There's a lot of that kind of already in poetry. If you've like taken a creative writing class, you've probably learned that like the word stanza means room, and that's like a kind of wonderfully fruitful metaphor, actually. But I've just always been interested in like what are the materials of language, and how do those create like movements in the form of reading? Like how can we move through language in particular ways, and how can all of these different kinds of materials that poems are made of help us do that? So when I'm thinking about paper, I'm like really thinking about paper, and so this was at a time when I was doing a lot with folded text and thinking about how to create obscurities or ways of withholding text through folds and having a poem kind of disappear into the paper through these the sequence of folds. It should probably be clear at this point that I really like obscuring text and making text illegible. And again, I don't have a reason for that. I just have always really loved that. Okay, so we're going to read a little bit of this. First, I don't know if any of you have seen, I'm sure some of you have seen the new HTML review issue, but just want to shout out Shelby and Max again, because they're always...
Yeah, give it up.
So good.
For HTML review.
I'm really excited, too, about the other presenters and getting to explore this more. I'm going to come back to ours, but yeah, it's just so fun. We spent the morning just moving through these spaces back and forth, and I'm just so excited to have this be my weekend. So, all right. Oh, gotta go back to my link. There we go. Okay. Our link. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna read one of these epigraphs, and then we're just gonna read a couple of pieces of this. The love of stone is often unrequited, from Stone, An Ecology of the Inhuman by Jeffrey Jerome Cohen, which is a really, really good book about rocks. If you're looking for a book about rocks, that would be top of my list. She didn't go. Go where? She didn't talk. She didn't say leave. He didn't leave. She didn't leave. She could talk. She could push into it. She didn't open her mouth. Do on the stairs. She didn't walk down. Could she walk downstairs, or could she get there? There, got stuck. Do on the stairs, not do. There was a concept, stuff, and there was nothing in the past, in the things in the room. She could see them in their boxes, the boxes she didn't get up to go get, gleeful, this stuck, do and stuff, and the soles of her feet, she didn't itch them, touch, talked her mouth.
He, Ave, she, her, ed, I, stow, ol, hit. Ape, when, the, he.
A note on Earth, the old extinguisher. A camera moves through an empty house, not empty, but what is called empty, in conversation. Not a camera moving, but the person implied by. The shadow cast on the carpets and walls and shower doors. The camera doesn't look in the mirrors. Carpet was vacuumed. Nope. Earlier today, my friend Maddie was on this website, and she said, "I'm trying to read your poem, but all these rocks are in the way." And true, yes. I'm trying to kindly pass this off to Luke, having already done the page, and it's the hardest it's ever been. And I'm about to give up and say, I'm sorry, Luke.
You can click the other link.
Oh, but I wanted to do the other one. Okay.
Nice. 7, a note on I keep a few dreams of a house to live in later. Always later, so much later. The ones she loved are the ones that never came back. One of the ones she loved said, letters written on top of each other could be the concept offensive. She asked if it was their touching.
And he can, hey, speak, go, the. Stop there? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Let's give it up one more time for Blair and Luke. And we have one more featured presentation before our break. Let's give it up for Reuben Son, who's coming to the stage. Reuben is an amazing designer, writer, artist, also with a piece in the new HTML Review. Welcome, Reuben.
Okay, we're live. WV is the projector.
can see some things. All right. Hey, my name is Reuben. Thank you. Today is my half birthday. You know, I'm getting somewhere. This is my website. I make software, sound, and ceramics. Maybe as an introduction, I'll just kind of go through some recent projects. Today is March 20th, 2025. I'm at WordHack, celebrating the first day of spring and World Frog Day. Yeah, I've got a piece in the new issue of the HTML Review. Check it out if you haven't already. What else have I done lately? I wrote a introductory essay to the most recent Irena annual. I gave a talk at Naive Yearly this last year in Slovenia. I launched a little web shop, starting to sell ceramics online. Made a mix for NTS Radio. Made some sound sculpture in Mexico City. And this time, last year, I presented a project called Frog Chorus in Brooklyn Bridge Park with Laurel Schwolst. We didn't know at the time of this event that it was World Frog Day. We just thought it'd be nice to ring in the beginning of spring and the equinox with a frog-oriented event, and realize that day that that synchronicity is real. So it's World Frog Day again, but I'm presenting poems, not frogs. The project I'm sharing, and I'll get to the actual sharing part in a bit, began a few years ago. This is a photo of me holding a very small microphone over a very dry Loire River in France. This was a year where I began to spend a bit more time outside listening and recording. There wasn't really any purpose to the recording, and I didn't have any intention for what I would use these recordings for. I just knew that I wanted to spend time holding a microphone outside. But that project ended up becoming another thing called Airports for Music, which was a sort of ambient music project. Basically, I'm a musician, sound artist who, every time I open up like a digital audio workstation, I just keep making ambient music even though I don't want to. And so this is some recent work, but I used the recordings from these trips outdoors and composed them into what I called sound fragrances. And you can read more about that and listen to them elsewhere. This is a fun piece. This is unrelated to my own work, but I thought it'd be nice to share some things that have sort of moved me in this direction over time. This is a piece by a sound artist called Stephen Cornford called Air Guitar, and I'm gonna hit play on it and hope the audio works. Well. So in this piece, there's a 6-string electric guitar on a motor spinning around with just the gyration and the movement of air, activating the strings, which then feed into the 2 speakers that are hung from the rotating piece above. There used to be like an hour-long recording of this on YouTube, and now we're down to a 3-minute video clip. This is some typographic work by the German printer and artist Hans-Jörg Meyer, who's most famous for printing artist books for the artist Dieter Roth. The reason why I'm showing this is because I think this was a little bit of like a turning point for me, where I'd spent a good chunk of my adult life writing software at media companies. I'm a software engineer professionally. And what I liked about these is that a lot of these works were produced by Hans-Jörg when he was working as an industrial printer. I think his main job for a while was printing German marks, printing currency, essentially, in the post-war German period. But he would have access to all these materials and equipment after hours, and he just produced endless, very fascinating experiments with typography on paper. But this also sort of resonates with something that I experienced earlier on in my career when I was working at New York Magazine. And the newsroom was starting to organize into a labor union, but they hadn't decided yet on the path towards that. And what they ended up upon was, or one of the ideas early on was that they wanted to maybe enter like a writers guild. And then they were thinking, how do we get the folks in the tech part of the org involved? And the sort of loophole or like workaround that they came up with, and maybe has some precedent, was that software engineers could be considered typesetters. And so since then, I think I've always had this weird sense in my head that I'm just a glorified typesetter, not a glorified code monkey. This is a piece by Susan Howe, which I think resonates quite well with the presentation before. These are collaged, scotch-taped, cut-up poems using fragmented found materials and organized on a page. And I feel like this is something that I found very, yeah, it's just sort of stuck in my brain as a glorified typesetter. And maybe lastly on this point, the project that I'm about to share maybe is most directly linked to this in some way, or it's a direct interpretation of this idea that poems are gifts that we give to the wind, and you'll see why I say that in a moment. So this is my project for the HTML review. It's a collection of poems called Airs, and these poems exist in two parts, and they're accompanied by recordings of the wind. So yeah, part one, Poems and Wind, that's pretty self-explanatory. I already mentioned me going outside and recording with my microphone. Those ended up in these poems and influenced both the intention as well as a sort of appearance. So here you notice that the text is quite distorted and warped on the surface, and that's sort of a metaphorical exercise in sort of distorting the text itself through the shearing force of wind. In reality, that just means I'm applying a CSS filter that uses an image of wind to move some pixels around. Part two, which I won't really be sharing in any detail in this presentation, but I've sort of incorporated in to this presentation, is this idea of turning a concrete poem into a screensaver. And as a quick demo, this is what it looks like on the website if you visit HTML Review. Enough of that. But really what I wanted to explore in these pieces is this tension between the flatness of the screen and the expansiveness of the open air. So yeah, I'm going to begin sort of the reading portion of this presentation, but I wanted to make a quick little announcement or instruction. Today, being World Frog Day, I wanted to incorporate that previous piece into this, a bit of a gesture of spolia, if you will. So about halfway through this, or maybe a little bit past halfway, you'll see a QR code appear on the screen. At that point, you can point your phone to it. It'll take you to a web app that I built. It has a single start button, and I ask that you hit start. That'll engage the Frog Chorus aspect, or Frog Chorus project, which I've never played in a room It's really meant to be more outdoors, and we'll see how it works and interacts with this piece, but that's sort of part of the experiment. Dawn comes whispering down from the trees, exhaling under thin blue expanse. Earth fuming petrichor rises and walks. Holding diaphragm or adorning diaeresis, you bask and tilt under the rolling sky. Intoxicated by the pure albedo of glaciers, you walk so lightly, you carry the wind under your feet. Rain spreads water to hair, coalesces to translucent sheet, a cone of dewy plastic. Enclasped, green stems hold their blooms as they wind their way. Winds rise in the north when free of confining fjords, acquiring heat and moisture. Frictional contrasts that disconnect the flow. In summer, it is most persistent, a blanket of thick, moisture-rich clouds, warmed by the descent from the crest, forcing lake waves into the mouths of rivers, as if teeming, multiplying the air into air and more air, as if speeding, crashing vapors into abstraction and other forms of statecraft. Stunned into stillness when swirling mass cracks in half under thin, white tines of forking light.
listlessly sounding up there or down here. A storm cloud approaches from one or another of the neighboring centuries. Pale red and sharing, seraphim of total Zashura, without suture or self-cure. Cold air is denser and it sinks.
Clatter of saucer, and cup appears. The receding tide of foam yawning soft brown lace. Rippling aerial choreography dances the ear. The dust in your brain settles like swept dunes. A ghost paces, still, and moving lines. Tracing breath, like a window you open all around you. The aura of night itself, frog pondering the vast library of air. Everything is quieter in the shadow of a leaf.
Let's give it up one more time for Reuben Son. Thanks, Reuben. All right, and we have arrived at the famous WordHack mid-show break. We're going to take 13 minutes, so come back here in 13 minutes. We still have two more presentations from Maya Man and Herdimas Anggara. You're not going to want to miss them. Don't go far, but if you do get a drink, tip Jason at the bar. Also, shout out to Chantal at the door and Rhodey in the booth. Give it up for your staff. And be kind and tip them well. See you in 13. Wow. Oh, great. Thank you. Starting our second half, really excited to be joined by Maya Mann. Maya is an amazing internet artist who explores different ways identity is expressed online. Been following her work for a really long time and really excited to finally have her join us here at WordHack. Give a warm welcome to Maya Mann.
Thank you. Do I use this microphone? Okay, yeah. Thank you.
I'll just hide this one down here.
Okay. I had the luxury of plugging in my computer a little bit early, so I'm ready to go. Hi, I'm Maya. I'm really excited to be here. I'm trying something a little bit new today. I wanted all of this to happen in the browser. I thought it'd be appropriate for WordHack. So I wanted to start with you on my website. Hello, welcome to my website. Something to know about almost all of the websites that I make is that it's always really important to check the console. So I have a secret notes channel. It's not so secret for you all anymore, but some people do check the console and leave notes here, but we're gonna go here today. And today with you all, I want to take the browser for a walk. So let's walk. You're getting a little preview of what's to come. Like I said, I'm Maya. I'm an artist. Most of my work is software-based, but I also make installations and other physical work. And most of my work is really revolving around this question of identity on the internet and what it means to perform online. For as long as I can remember, my sense of self has always been in conversation with the computer screen. And I'm really curious about the ways that we kind of cultivate a sense of self and a self-concept through the production and consumption of media online. But those are all my windows. So we're gonna start right here with pure information. Like was mentioned, the HTML review issue 4 came out today, first day of spring, and the piece that I have included is pure information, which is live at pureinformation.stream. Literally, Maya, there's not one person I can think of that I would want to sleep with. Oh, that's fun, Maya. Do you miss being with him? Thanks, Maya. Love you. Holy shit, Maya. Stay out, Maya. Maya, I'm in this heater room. And tell him I'm sending my love energy through Maya. How about mom and dad, Maya man? OMG, yes, it is Sunday. Thank you, Maya. Maya, in Hinduism, means the supernatural power wielded by gods and demons to produce illusions. Broadly, illusion. It is funny to have a name that by definition means that it's intending to present as something that it is not. I'm calling this presentation Taking the Browser for a Walk, which is borrowed from the phrase taking a line for a walk, which is a phrase that was spoken by Paul Klee, the artist who talks about the process of art making and drawing as taking a line for a walk. But because most of my work exists in the browser, I wanted this all to happen right here. This is me when I was younger with my pink Razr cell phone. I wrote about it for the Project Interlude docs. But for me, my sense of self has, like I said, always been mediated by the pieces of technology that I'm interacting with and the way that I see myself living in the computer screen. This is my bedroom. This is my website, which you saw. This is my bedroom from when I was 13 years old. And it's funny to me now because it really aligns with the way that the rest of my work looks now. So this piece is called Pure Information, and it goes through, I'll tell you exactly how many. There's over 3,000 text messages that contain my name that are in this work. And this piece is generative, so it's different every single time. And actually, if you type, you can make it go faster, and you can see a lot of very vulnerable, revealing information about my personal life and the life of my friends as well. This piece is called Pure Information, which is a phrase that I first encountered in the book Molly by Blake Butler. Every time that I encounter a word or phrase or think of one that's of interest to me, I add it to this list of words of interest that I have. And so a lot of my practice revolves around language and thinking about the ways that that operates online. And so it's nice to be able to talk about all of this at WordHack. But this process of collecting, where I collect these words, I have them here on my Irena channel. This process of collecting is also really important to me in my work. I have a lot of Irena channels. These are just a few. These are hearts in art that I collect. Of course, I have a channel for websites, just how I like them, that I've been keeping for years. And then this is also one of my longest running channels, the presentation of self in everyday life online. The presentation of self is borrowed from the sociologist Erving Goffman's dramaturgical theories around socializing. But I collect a lot of text, imagery, links in here. And this process of collecting really feeds into the web-based work that I make. This piece is called Read It and Weep, lives at readitandweep.live, and it is a combination of text, the hot pink text that's underlined. It's actually clickable to go to its source, but it's excerpts from articles, books, and essays that I've read over the years. The white text is excerpts from my journal entries over the past decade that I pulled out, and I don't think we've seen any, but it'll come. The light pink text is excerpts from a kind of non-referenceable text like TikTok sounds or Tumblr quotes that I have encountered over the years. This piece is hard for me to watch run. But with Read It and Weep, I was interested in this tension between interiority and exteriority, and I kind of wanted it to feel like being inside of my mind, all of the language that I'm both performing as kind of a reference to myself, but also taking in around ideas of self-presentation. And this idea of language and paradox shows up a lot in the other work that I do. This piece is called Everything I Do Is Wrong, Everything I Do Is Real. Basically, the first word can be either everything or nothing, and the last word, 4 options are real, fake, wrong, or right. And this continually types out and deletes over and over and over again. And these are websites and they're generative, and so it's different every time, and it's also infinite, so there's no beginning and end. You all get that. But I usually describe my relationship to the internet as one of love/hate, another paradox, but it's really important to me as an artist to define my relationship in this kind of space of ambiguity, because often I feel like when people talk about technology or talk about being online, they kind of want a really neat, definitive answer around how you feel about it as an artist, and I really like to make work that sits in this ambiguity intentionally. And Love/Hate is the title of this piece, which is an installation that involves this pink punching bag that hangs from the ceiling, and this is just a post on Instagram, but it also... There's a cell phone that sits on the front of the punching bag that plays a 5-minute compilation of TikToks that I made during grad school. I didn't make them with the intention of including them in this piece, but they are. And this idea of fakeness comes up a lot when we're thinking about the presentation of self online. There's kind of this like ongoing obsession with authenticity. So I'm also really fixated on this tension between the idea of being fake online and being real. And the word fake shows up in my piece, Fake It Till You Make It, which is a JavaScript-based work. And it borrows from the bubbly language and pastel aesthetics of text-driven Instagram graphics to scrutinize the promotion of wellness, self-care, and confidence on social media. So here it is. This is actually the JavaScript running live, so it is generating in real time. But I made this piece because I was really fascinated by, if you've been on Instagram, this style of Instagram graphic that was super popular in like the late 2010s to early 2020s more. And I was really interested in what language was doing, and so I wrote an algorithm that is collaging together language that I always found from actual Instagram graphics. And it's kind of, I like that it maintains this very chipper, familiar tone, but what is generated is actually kind of ranges from normal sounding to totally absurd. But what surprised me actually working on this project is that the language was often really deeply meaningful to me, and I started the project feeling a little bit cynical about this type of graphic. But the project became increasingly really, as I worked on it and generated new outputs, it became really meaningful to me that it sounded absurd, but it actually, when I peeled back the layers, meant something that related to me and my life. And often I'm writing algorithms to make a piece, but what's special to me about writing software, and that's kind of what I would see as the core of the work, is that I can translate it into a lot of different formats for presentation, because there's kind of, dimensions variable, and I believe also kind of material variable as well. So this is the book that I published based on this collection. I have it here. I can share it later. I have some copies if you're interested after. But it includes the entire JavaScript source code, excerpts from Discord conversations where people have like heated debates over the validity of the project, and then of course some large format prints of the outputs here. But then also this project I like to morph into another form, which is its own bespoke Instagram account where I actually post the outputs that are generated by the algorithm. I kind of feel like I'm returning them to their native home, but that's here. And no, you know, I don't say anywhere overtly it's a generative project, so some people find the account and will comment on it and be like, "You're so funny," because they sound really weird. But yeah, and then I also like to think about how to translate this into physical space in other ways. I'm really inspired by the gift shops on Canal Street. I live in Chinatown and my studio's in Soho, and I walk by them every day. And so I translated this for an installation at Heavy Manners Library in Los Angeles into a kind of slat wall style gift shop, and all of these are actual outputs from the algorithm that are translated into t-shirts, teddy bears, keychains, those kind of mass consumer culture objects. And so as opposed to fake, I'm also interested in this idea of real. This is a browser extension that I first built in 2018 called GlanceBack, and it is an extension that once a day at random, when you open a new tab, takes a photo of you, and it kind of acts as like a daily photo diary. I actually haven't done mine today because I've been saving it, so I'll show you how it works. So if I open a new tab in my browser right now, I have it installed. Okay. It works just like that. Usually you don't know it's coming like that, but I was saving it for you today. So I type in what I was thinking about, press enter, and then slowly over time you start to collect this massive archive of images of you just staring at your computer or the menu open. For me, no expression on my face, but it's a daily diary, essentially. These are all ones that I've had on this machine. Important to note, everything's stored locally, so I can't see anyone's photos. But I've been using this for now nearly 6 years, and I have this crazy collection of images and thoughts that has become kind of really meaningful to me and like the most comprehensive documentation I have of my life. But what's especially cool about GlanceBack, especially in relation to other projects that I have, is that there's currently over 9,000 people around the world that use it, so anyone can have the browser extension installed. I can't see your photos, but if someone posts on social media, I can see, and so they'll tag me, and that's what is happening here. And my friend Greta recently wrote about it in January in the Los Angeles Review of Books, talking about her year as it was chronicled through this software. And so I've started to really shift my perspective on GlanceBack from just this personal diary to kind of being this like networked performance of all like 9,000 of us together every day, taking a random photo through the browser on our personal machine. And so this idea of realness, you know, once I built GlanceBack, I kind of was like, this is going to be the real representation of me, because everything, I was younger, and everything online was fake, and you know, this is going to be how I actually look working on my computer. But once I look at my GlanceBack photos, I don't feel like they're more real. It's just kind of a different dimension of self, because it still feels performative to an extent. And I'm interested in that idea of performativity, and then as an extension of the idea of real, this idea of being realistic online. And this comes up in the piece that was a commission from the Whitney Museum for their new internet art program called On the Hour. This piece is called A Realistic Day in My Life Living in New York City. And to make it, I knew that whatever piece that I made was going to run on the Whitney's website 24 times a day, exactly on the hour. So I wanted to make something that related to time in some way. So I decided that I was going to watch hundreds and hundreds of day in my life living in New York City TikTok videos and pull out exactly and only when they happen to say an exact time of day, like at 2 o'clock I went and got lunch, or at 8 p.m. I went and had dinner with my friend. But as I was watching so many, I became especially fascinated with the way that people employ the word realistic, which is why I decided to title the piece with that in mind. So this is how it runs. This is just a test link, but it normally just, if you go to the Whitney Museum's website on the hour, you'll see it run on your phone or computer. But let's see. This is the dark mode because it's nighttime. So it starts out with this hot pink text that writes out, lately I've been going to bed at like 9 p.m., which has been amazing, and it's kind of structured as this call and response. This is followed by a stream of animated comments, of actual comments. I collected over 1,000 from TikTok videos, and I was really curious about this kind of way that the whole comment section lives underneath the TikTok video. It's like this mass of people who have this very voyeuristic relationship with the narrator, and this piece is JavaScript that's running live on the museum's website, so every time that you go back, there's lots of different options for every time of day. And it was really hard to find like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning in the day of my life videos, but there are people doing stuff You really have to search, though. And so this idea, again, as Accenture being realistic, when I'm thinking about the online space, you're also always thinking about this idea of questioning reality. And that was really present in this piece, which is called Shift Reality Instantly Very Powerful. And it's based on the culture of subliminals. And if you're not familiar, subliminals are a genre of online content where people kind of bury affirmations underneath a sound, and there's like things you want, like you want your crush to like you back, you want to get straight A's, you want to lose 10 pounds, whatever. And they often have these kind of magical characters. So I'm interacting with it with the mouse right now. And this is generative, so the color palette changes every time. But to make this a subliminal, I actually hid underneath the HTML canvas my own affirmations, which you can only see if you drag it out, but these are all about reality shifting, and that's a whole culture of subliminals where people really want to go to a different reality, and I really resonate with that sometimes, and so this is kind of my own website-based form of shifting reality subliminals. And so beyond this idea of being realistic, I'm also curious that between this idea of real and fake, what is myth? Myth shows up in this piece, the model minority is a myth, which is a billboard commission that I got from the Organization for Freedoms in 2021. This was actually a real billboard that was up in Pittsburgh for Asian American Pacific Heritage Month, and you could call the number, and I talk about the model minority myth in it. I also made it a towel for an exhibition, but my favorite part about this was that there was an article published in Forbes that says, "Does art need to be ugly to affect change?" And my billboard was the header image, so that's awesome. And then also, like everything that I've showed that I encountered, I'm interested also, especially with software, in this idea of chance. And what's so unique to me about working with code is that you can imbue a project with a level of randomness. And this idea of chance showed up in this collection, this JavaScript-based collection I made called I'm Feeling Lucky, that was really focused on the culture of horoscopes and astrology. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I found that everyone read their co-star in the pattern every day. And when I moved to Los Angeles for grad school, and so I was really interested in meaning making in relationship to the computer. And I wrote a eulogy. The title I'm Feeling Lucky comes from the button that's on the Google homepage, I'm Feeling Lucky, and I was deep in research about the button, and it's kind of changed its format dramatically over the years since it originally launched with the original Google homepage in 1998. And Google.com for years was the most visited website in the world. And the I'm Feeling Lucky button is kind of this quirky, like weird piece of technology, you know, this like weird phrase as well that was on the most popular website in the world. So I kind of go through and eulogize the button and how it's essentially talking about how the internet has changed from the Web 1.0 days to Web 2.0 and wherever we are now. But really thinking through how the way that the button's operations has changed, have adjusted. This is the I'm Feeling Lucky outputs in a show in London at the Gallery Verse. These are prints on aluminum, and often when I'm working with browser-based work, you know, a lot of times you list the dimensions of the work as dimensions variable. So I wanted to have different size prints because the piece is responsive, because it's a web-based piece, and I wanted also this hang to feel kind of constellation-like. Here are some of the outputs. Oh, this is one I really like. You may be tempted to indulge in an extreme phone. Some of them are a little more complicated, like visually complicated like this. Yes. And so really, when I'm talking about the shift of the internet, something that really shifted online dramatically from the Web 1.0 days to the Web 2.0 days is this ability to shop and the encouragement of shopping. And shopping is something that also shows up in my work very often. This piece, The Angels Want to Wear My Red Shoes, is based on the fairy tale Red Shoes that was written by Hans Christian Andersen and was released in the late 1800s. But long story short, it's about this girl who really wants this pair of red shoes, and she gets them, and then it curses her to dance to her death. So I decided that there's been a great film, 1948, The Red Shoes. Kate Bush has an album, The Red Shoes, but I decided I wanted to move this into kind of contemporary culture in a way and make my own interpretation of it. So I scraped Depop, web scraped Depop for red shoe ballet flat listings. This is just a study to make this work. So I'll click to start. And basically, generative piece, so it's going through in a different order every time, but each of these is a listing that exists on Depop, and with every keystroke, there is a random note from A minor that is played, so it's also a generative score. And I was thinking a lot about dance. I grew up as a dancer, which I think also is why I'm obsessed with performance, but this kind of goes on infinitely until there's like a mass of noise and red shoes happening on screen. This piece is called Dress Code, and for this one, it was for an auction with Christie's and Gucci. I went through Gucci's entire Instagram and pulled out all the adjectives that they've used to describe their clothing over the past 10 plus years, and those are the words that you see, and then this is like a generative patchwork piece that is constantly regenerating. So language plays a really important role in the work that I do, and I'm kind of really guided by these themes of fake and real and the paradoxical relationship between those two nodes. But sometimes I like to be a little bit more direct about language. So this is a piece, through writing. This is a piece I wrote for Byline a couple years ago. And in it, I write, "Much has been written about constructing your online persona, but it's often acknowledged as additive. Cultivating an online presence connotes posting, a loud and proud act. Rarely do we talk about deleting. In contrast, the act of deletion comes from a palace of panic and shame. This is where I post from," girls on the internet tweet, sharing photos of tall castle towers or forest gardens. "Where I delete from, in my mind, manifests as an opposing scene. If I had to illustrate, it might look like dark, solitary confinement with no screen time restrictions, a place that makes it impossible to hide from my self-constructed digital double." This browser walk is kind of a deletion act, Xing out of everything. But really, this was published in Emily Sundberg's Substack, Feed Me, 2 days ago. No, yesterday. 2 days ago. Yesterday. And I was answering questions that people asked, and someone asked me, "Do you feel like authenticity online is achievable, or is it inherently performative?" To which I say, and this is what what I subscribe to, is that posting online is inherently performative, but not morally bad. I just want to note that this form of presentation, this is the first time that I've done it, but is software that the artist Luke Shannon and I have been working on, thinking about the browser as a space for presentation. And the way that it works, he wrote a script that actually pulls from an Irena channel to open all of the tabs in the way that you saw. So this is going back, this is a public Irena channel, but here are all the links that I have, and they just simply open in order. Yeah, and so thank you for watching my presentation.
She said, "What you know about us?
Yeah.
I got what you need. Woke up in the store and get what you want. Go get it. You get what you please. We about to get it."
Amazing work. Give it up one more time for Maya Man. And coming up to close us out, I am really excited to welcome back a past WordHack favorite, a performer, a software saboteur, someone who really puts websites in their paces, I'll say. Really takes them to the limit. And if you haven't seen Herdimas Anggara perform before, you're really in for a treat. Please welcome Herdimas Anggara.
because like this is like external screen and this is like the main screen.
Yeah, if you go to displays, yes, you want to mirror your.
So
Yeah. Can you?
okay. So this is the main display. Stop mirroring. What? Do you know what that means?
Wait, didn't you want to mirror that one?
I don't want to because like I want this to be the main screen.
Wait, isn't the built-in retina display the main screen?
So oh, this is the main display. Okay, now it's blank, right? Is it blank or?
You can see what's on there. I think.
Oh, duh.
Oh no, right there. You can see what's on there. Alright, but I think you want to set that one to not mirror. Or so if you go to displays and you select that one.
I select this one. And I want this to mirror.
Oh wait, hold on, you back on the main one.
Oh, okay. The main one needs to be mirrored.
Yeah. So now
So this is
mirror
to
the HDMI.
okay. So this mirror to the HDMI. But this is gonna be like the extension.
And then set this one here.
This one?
Yeah, set that to stop mirroring.
Stop mirroring. So now it's blank. Yeah. Okay. No, it's
that's
true.
not mirroring.
No, because I want this to be. Yeah, no.
Are you,
It's the
are you,
blank, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's blank. Is that what
Yep.
you want?
Yep. That's what I want.
Great. Are you set?
Can I check the sound real quick?
Yeah. Do you have the sound cable plugged in?
I think so. Okay. Alright, hi, I'm Herdimas. I'm originally from Indonesia, Jakarta. I'm currently full-time faculty at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond. I'm teaching at VCU Arts. My practice has always been about platform sabotage or like infiltrating infrastructure. And what I would like to do today is, actually don't know. Let's say, let me, wait, I'm searching for my key. Oh, there you go. Gonna do something so annoying. Sec. Go. Does it work? Oh. Wait. It's supposed to be like, I feel like a USB thing. Okay. It showed up here. It showed up there? Okay. Why is that not working? Wait, it's not working. Oh, whatever. Okay. I guess it doesn't work. What is that? I guess it doesn't work. Todd, can you help me? Sorry.
I thought it was burn piece.
Can you help me basically? How am I gonna go to desktop and screensaver again? And I want to change the wallpaper.
Okay.
And then I usually desktop and screensaver. Okay. Alright.
set this enough. I think it's fine. No, it's fine. Looking back, I've come to realize the thing I've been circling all along isn't fiction itself, but the scaffolding that holds it upright, the systems, the interfaces, the coded rituals we perform without thinking. The magic, if you can call it that, isn't in the story. It's in the button that always works, the progress bar that moves just right, the platform that feels too smooth to question. My work pulls at that smoothness. I want to break the spell without announcing the break, to make the audience feel the floor shift, not because I told them it would, but because something ordinary, something they trusted, suddenly misbehaved. The obsession started, I think, with Jaranan. I was young when I first saw it, an East Javanese trance dance where performers chew glass and swallow raw chicken as it were air. It wasn't the danger that caught me. It was the moment the boundary between performance and reality crumbled. These weren't illusions or sleights of hand. The pain was real, the trance was real, and still, it was a show. I remember, like staring hard at that moment, trying to find the scene where acting became relief. I never found it.
Let's go down. Mari kita goyang bro. Asik. Ola, ola, ola,
Years later, in grad school, I found myself back at the threshold, a seminar on ecstasy of all things, reading about rituals meant to rip people out of themselves. But the text said that on my screen, choked by PDFs and clean margins, there's a violence in how digital containers strip the life out of things. Adobe became another stage, another silence puppeteer. That's when I clicked it. Platforms aren't passive, they shape what's possible. The design of a button carries as much power as the words beside it. I've been chasing that realizations ever since poking at the rituals of the digital. Gmail threads, YouTube autoplay, folders that promise order. They aren't neutral. They're scripts we've learned so well we forget their performances. But what happens if the systems forgets its lines? What if a button refused to obey? I'm interested in that rupture, not as a gimmick, but as a way to crack open the machinery long enough for the audience to glimpse the magician's hand. Sometimes I think of these platforms as our modern babi ngepet, that shape-shifting demon from Indonesian folklore that turns into a boar to steal from the rich. The brilliance of the myth is you never catch it in the act, it works in the margins, robbing you while you're busy looking elsewhere. Platforms do the same. They harvest our attention, our labor, our tiny rituals of productivity, and we kind of let them because the interface is so beautifully behaved. You know, like Victor Turner writes about this, liminal spaces, those in-between moments where the rules dissolve and anything feels possible. Rituals do that, so do platforms in their own way. They hold us in suspensions, promising agency, while quietly scripting every move. And we perform right along, grateful for the structure. But what if that structure cracked? What if the system exposed its own absurdity? I think about the Tata of the Toraja people, wooden effigies standing watch between the living and the dead. They're not alive, but they're not quite objects either. Digital spaces feel the same, haunted and liminal. They preserve a version of us that isn't fully real, but refuses to die. That's what I'm chasing, not destruction, but that hairline fracture where things stop making sense, just long enough to remind us we're inside the performance. In Balinese trance rituals, dancers throw themselves onto blades, trusting the trance to hold. I want to build systems that feel like that. Dangerous, uncanny, but held together by the barest thread of belief. In the end, it's about reclaiming space, about building digital rituals that don't soothe but unsettle, that don't flow but snag. I want to build platforms that stutter, interfaces that misbehave, just long enough for us to ask, who's really pulling the strings here? Because it's all shadows all the way down. Something about that moment, 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 something about the moment swallowed me whole as the dancer swallowed everything, 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 and as the dancer swallowed everything, 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 as the dancer swallowed everything. Why did it suffocate? Thank you.
one. Let's give it up one more time for Herdimas Anggara. Very proud of having WordHack be a space where it makes sense to do that. And if you do something like that, come do it here. Let's give it up one more time for all of our featured presenters. That was Blair Johnson, Luke Williams, Reuben Son, Maya Mann, and Herdimas Anggara. And WordHack is here on the third Thursday of every month. I'm bringing out my phone to look at the third Thursday in April, which is the next time we will be here, April 17th. I also want to give a shout out to Sarah Rothberg, longtime supporter of the series and presenter who had her art opening at Bitforums tonight. So if you chose to be here, you did not choose to be there, but you should still go to see Sarah's show at Bitforums. It's really, really great show. And Sarah, if you're watching this, sorry. Yeah, Sarah will be here next month. So definitely come support her and come support other future WordHacks. It's been a really great time spending time with you this evening. And yeah, it's often a good time here at WordHack. So if you're thinking this might be a place for you to hang out, you should check it out. There's a link to get on the email list. On the event page, I just send out one email a month with the lineup once the new show is announced. So if you don't want to miss it, hop on that email list. And yeah, that's all I have for this evening. Have a great evening and enjoy the spring.